Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the full shows online and... Oh, dang. It's right there in front of me.
I don't know. It's even clear.
Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the full shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
I'm John DeSando.
This is Cinema Classics.
And here are the Johnnies.
Mm-hmm. All of us together in the same room.
Yes. All right, Stephen King's The Shining.
Mm-hmm. Why are we talking about it?
Okay, and we're going to do two takes on this. Gateway Film Center is showing the restored version through Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Second take. Gateway Film Center has recently shown a restored version of The Shining. We need to look at The Shining.
Well, what a coincidence. Because I just happened to watch The Shining again a couple months ago. We showed Franco The Shining. As you know, Franco is a horror aficionado at the age of 7. And I gotta tell you, one, I thought the movie would lose him because it's so it's so serene and like it's such a slow burn, and it's so placid for much of it. He was mesmerized by it, which is a testament to Kubrick's filmmaking prowess. That the movie, well, one, he had Franco had the hook of Danny, young Danny,
sure.
So he's got this boy in this crazy situation, which I think helped. But what a mesmerizing movie of a family, of a father going mad.
Yes.
And what that does to this unit, it's mesmerizing. The movie holds up, I think, more than holds up. It's a really fascinating film about losing your grip.
Oh, and I think, as always for Stephen King, the process of writing was probably so difficult for him, even though he's got dozens of works. Reflecting here the difficulty of writing, and he has it in another one with Kathy Bates, doesn't he?
Misery.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So he shows that it can be painful for him, and I think he does a beautiful job. The central metaphor of the maze is a wonderful. I don't even know if that's a part of the Overlook Hotel in Colorado or not.
I don't know. I seem to recall them making that maze. Or no, it is a part. Okay. I think it is a part. Confession, I've never read the novel.
No,
in fact, I've never read a Stephen King novel.
Right.
Now, legendarily, this adaptation really rankles King. He hates this adaptation. That's really stupid because in some ways it cemented his works as as being capable of presented as art.
Oh yeah.
Right, because this is about as artistic as horror film is.
Oh, and King has described it as a beautiful automobile. King has described it as a beautiful automobile without an engine, and he just didn't like it. And Shelley Duvall, and Jack Nicholson were both bitter about Kubrick because they felt that Kubrick, all the attention on Kubrick had marginalized their efforts, the crew, Stephen King's underpinnings.
Wow. And
Kubrick is nothing but polarizing, but also fanatic. I mean, that door, that famous, iconic door scene.
Yeah.
They had let me see, I've got it right down here. It took them to do that, just that scene. It took them 60 doors. 60 doors. They had to use.
Oh, you mean where he chops through
where
the
he
door?
chops. Here's Johnny's scene. They took 3 days to film. It's 60 doors. And they started out with, of course, an easy to chop through door. The problem was Nicholson had been a volunteer fire chief.
So he knew how to do it.
He knew he was not going to...
Is that true? That is great tidbit. Wow.
No, it is, yeah. But anyway, that's just an idea of the kind of care that Kubrick just gives.
So here's a question when it comes to obsessive filmmaking.
Yes.
Let's say that Kubrick didn't do 60 takes with that shot.
Yep.
Do you think the movie would have been as good? Like, let's say he shot 20 takes. Is there one in there that would have sufficed, that would have been as iconic? Or is it his obsessiveness that produces something as timeless as The Shining?
First of all, I think you're quite right. It's not necessary to go through all of those takes to find it. But as an overall pattern for a film, you can see how his attention to detail makes it almost seamlessly great.
Of course, so, it's reflected in that great, psychologically chilling moment when Wendy, Shelley Duvall, stumbles upon what Jack has been working on. And there's that huge manuscript on the desk. And it just says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And it says it 1,000,000 times.
I know,
in every very sort of variation. Yes. And so the obsessiveness there, right, is reflected in Kubrick's obsessiveness with getting just the right shot. And if you've ever seen is it Room 237, the documentary? Is that what it is?
Yes, probably. Yeah, it's not the real. Yeah, but it's Room 237. But of course, there's no Room 237 at the Overlook.
There is not.
They specifically chose that number so that people wouldn't be coming back all the time.
Oh, smart, looking for it, right? Trying to stay in it.
Well, just to talk about the obsessiveness, let me do one more.
Yeah.
And King agrees that the shots, the images are astonishing in here. Mm-hmm. But he feels he hadn't fleshed out the story enough. But anyway, the point here is the most famous shot. I think could be more famous than Here's Johnny, but maybe not.
Okay.
The blood in the elevator.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So it took, in the end, the shot took approximately a year to get right.
Wow.
He did. He is so compulsive that he got the difficult shot of blood pouring from the elevators in only 3 takes. This would be remarkable if it weren't for the fact that the shot took 9 days to set up. Every time the doors opened and the blood poured out, Kubrick would say, "It doesn't look like blood." So I mean, I went through a museum exhibit in Los Angeles.
Well, it's amazing that he would say that because no one has ever seen an elevator full of blood. So how would you know what that much blood looks like?
Isn't that great? I know he is. So I went through an exhibit in the museum, Los Angeles Museum, of his work and his notes.
Yeah.
And it would take you an hour or 2 to get through it for
wow.
all the compulsive note-taking that he did.
Well, I want to share this with the last time I watched it. So the premise of the movie is that young Danny has The Shining, and old Dick Halloran, played by Scatman Crothers, also has it. That's the ability to see into the past and the future or whatever. And so he recognizes it, right? And there's a conversation about at some point about not being able to deal with the Shining, having The Shining, My theory, watching this again after so many years, is that Nicholson's character also has The Shining. And he's just incapable psychologically of handling it. And so that is what makes him crazy. That coupled with the writing and the stress of writing and the stress of being a patriarch or whatever. But I think that character has The Shining, and he just goes mad because of it. Unlike Scatman Crothers and young Danny, they kind of...
They have dealt with it.
Right.
They've compartmentalized it.
And they know how to, process it.
Well, and Jack...
Now wait, come on. What do you think about that theory?
Well, I think it's fine.
Fine.
No, it is. That's good because
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it. I know, but I don't think I've heard anybody say it.
I think it's a very good observation.
Okay, thank you.
But it's impossible to prove that.
I know, of course it's just a nice interpretation.
Well, one thing I do know, for 3 weeks, Kubrick fed Jack Nicholson cheese sandwiches, and he hates them.
Oh, is that right?
Right. And
now, see, this is a silly thing because why does Nicholson eat the cheese sandwiches? Why doesn't he just refuse?
Because he probably knew it was good for his character development. And Shelley Duvall, even though she's a bit whacked just as a human being, Kubrick made sure by treating her like dirt.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that we have to acknowledge is that there's a lot of accusations of misogyny leveled at
Yes.
both the film's portrayal of Wendy Torrance
Yes.
and Kubrick's treatment of Duvall during the shooting of it.
Yeah.
Does she have anything to say about that? Has she said anything?
Yes, she said, well, I do know that he would say to people, don't sympathize with Shelley. And he says, it doesn't help. It doesn't help you. To tell her, you're not going to be, he's not going to sympathize with her. It doesn't help her. His campaign was to make her more uptight, more diffident, more the scaredy cat that her eyes show so well. And it goes back to your question, is it really necessary to abuse her to get that kind of performance? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because all that we're left with is what's on screen, right? And I know, and this is the other thing, rewatching it again, her performance holds up in a way that I don't know even before that it had. Like, I think people had a problem with her because she's so kind of, well, first of all, she's a bizarre screen presence. She is not your typically attractive starlet. She's not like a classically, I don't know, she just doesn't have that any classic features. So, but watching her kind of try to hold things together and try to protect her kid, I think she comes off really well.
I always remember her as Olive Oil. She seemed to be the perfect olive oil.
Right.
But anyway, to prime his actors up, he would have them watch Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. He said, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, can you imagine watching those movies and eating cheese sandwiches?
No.
For 9 months?
And as you know, the film was bathed in red. And while symbolically the blood and all that makes sense, it's also for the fact that Colorado is the Spanish name for the color red.
Oh, interesting.
So you can't know anything.
Oh, wow.
But I like your interpretation of Jack's character. Yeah. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going back to see The Shining again, and I guess that's what we're all about.
4K.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gateway Film Center, really great. Take every opportunity to check that masterpiece out.
Should say that. I don't know if I can get this done by tomorrow. That will be true.
Cut that part out.
Yeah. So we'll end on.
Okay.
And that was the Johnnies.
There's Johnny.